morning, everyone. This is update for May 26, 2022, day 92 of the war, end of the date update. This is going to be relatively short update. It was busy day, but informative update though. I apologize for not presenting information about the Russian kamikaze drone in comparison to the Switchblade, but it will definitely come out tomorrow, and hopefully it will be quite a bit of information tomorrow. So let's just jump into the walk through the front line. As we always do, we're gonna do it in a clockwise fashion. We're gonna start at the very north. We're gonna look at the Ukrainian border here, Chernihiv and Sumy region, and then Russian side, it's Bryansk region here. This is Kursk region here, and this is Belgorod region here. As always, there is artillery ping pong between the two sides. Their intensity is not going up. We kind of feel almost it's actually going down somewhat, which is generally positive sign in our view. So let's actually look at the actual front line. Let's look what's going on around Kharkiv. Here there's low intensity fighting around this village of Ternova. Nothing really else to report here. Pretty slow, kind of slow motion fighting here. Let's look what's going on here at the Izyum bridgehead. So this is general situation here, as you can see. The situation on the Izyum bridgehead is stable itself. However, and we're going to look in the detail, essentially Ukrainian side lost this larger bridgehead centered around Lyman. Let's actually look what's going on here. So this is, as you can see, more or less stable situation here on the main Izyum bridgehead. The Russian side continued attacks here from the village called Pasika towards south, also here, but had no success. Where the Russian side had quite a bit of success was in capturing town of Izyum. So Ukrainian troops retreated under significant pressure and more so artillery fire and air pressure from the Air Force, from the Russian Air Force. So they retreated. We don't know perfectly where exactly they are. Like, it's more or less the situation is very fluid. So they obviously probably have a cover, screening troops to protect their retreat on the western side of the Severodonetsk river. So this is kind of like in process, in transit situation, where eventually Ukrainian side will be on this side of the river, on this bank of the river, and it just basically maybe will take another day or two before they totally clear out this bridgehead. We're pretty sure that the Russian side then will refocus on this bridgehead to completely clear this out as well. And that's probably also will take a day or two to clear that as well. As we discussed from the very beginning, we always shared our opinion that this bridgehead is not critical and it will be lost by Ukrainian army. It was just a delaying tactic in terms from Ukrainian army to sort of slowly lose ground here. There is nothing sort of critical in losing it. It's obviously not great. There's no question about it. We're not trying to say that this is wonderful and great. That's not true. But given the whole artillery superiority of the Russian army, it is what it is. Now let's actually continue looking at the Severodonetsk salient, and we're going to look at Popasna area, where it's obviously the most dangerous. Let's see what's going on here. Northern side across the Severodonetsk river here is stable and quiet. Well, there is artillery shelling, but there is no actual attempts to create the bridgeheads on their. It looks here as if it's southern bank, but it's actually western bank of the river. So then Russian troops are putting pressure, Second Army Corps putting pressure here, little bit managed to little bit squeeze out Ukrainian defenders in Severodonetsk and enter the city around here. There is a bus station there. It's essentially they're basically just on outskirts of the city here in this area somewhere. So otherwise, Ukrainian forces still have one bridge that's semi-destroyed that allows them to supply this group here. And just to point this force and some units, some battalions from 4th National Guards Brigade there in the city here. There's just not enough room here, so we didn't put them in. There are also units, battalions from the 57th Brigade, and as you can see, generally it's total mass on Ukrainian side in terms of units. They all mixed up. They're like one battalion here, one from one brigade next to battalion from other brigade. This is really sign of general crisis in a command and a general crisis that it's Ukrainian side is in crisis mode overall. It's still holding on. There was no progress here today by the Russian side. There's no guarantee. It's Ukrainian troops are totally stretched, and the problem is actually in strong artillery superiority of the Russian side. That's where the sort of where it's all coming from. And we had a video about a month ago or so about their artillery, and then UAV called Orlan 10, which is specifically dedicated to supporting Russian artillery. So in other words, like infantry battalion or infantry unit, nobody can take it from the artillery battalion. It's just theirs. It's embedded within their structure, so it's totally dedicated to help adjust the fire for Russian artillery units. So, and basically what happened there is that this system works very perfectly. There is immediate link there is immediate link from this UAV to the artillery battery, and then they correct the fire very quickly. Within a minute, they adjust the fire. So it's a very in a way good system. It works, and it's one of the contributing factor to the Russian success here, and actually Russian success here in Lyman. They've been using artillery much better in more concentrated numbers, plus obviously skillful tactic in terms of actual sort of local kind of like strategy or general at this sort of like in Popasna area as well. So this is a situation. Oh, and we identified another Russian unit, 35th Mechanized Brigade, that's operating here in Popasna area, along with battle group from the 76th Airborne Division. And this one, 35th Brigade, it's totally possible this is also battle group, because if you look actually, this was from the Kiev East group, and it was brigade that didn't suffer that many losses there. So now it's being reused here as well. So as you can see, Ukrainian side brought all kind of troops, like essentially all of the brigades you can imagine they're here. There is also, based on Russian reports, there is a 10th Brigade was brought in here to the area near Kramatorsk. It's possible that it could be thrown in the coming days to help with the situation here. So situation is obviously very dangerous, but there is no Russian progress here today. The only progress is that they actually captured this village called Ustynivka, but that's pretty much it on this kind of like northern side of this Popasna salient. I guess we can call this also Popasna salient. So this is a more closer look at what was happening yesterday. We just it's probably better, you can better understand that the front line more or less goes here along the railroad line, and then here this is essentially Ukrainian troops barely control this road. It's not usable, as we mentioned before. It just technically they control it, but it's essentially it's not under their control. And then Russian troops control most of the Nahirne, and Ukrainian troops control most of the Bilohorivka. So nothing changed here, basically the same situation. So let's actually look what's going on to the sort of south of Popasna, because there was quite a bit of actually a lot of things happened there. Sort of negative for Ukrainian side. If you remember, Russian actually let's look at the sort of better. We made a little bit better picture here. If you remember, there was also Ukrainian salient here that was very sort of cleverly destroyed by Russian troops. They attacked from the flank and then from the rear and created threat of encirclement here, so Ukrainian troops withdrew. And then for a couple days we kind of were not very clear where Ukrainian troops are, and as you can see, as a result of this withdrawal, they didn't manage to hold sort of the line right, like sort of along this lakes here. They actually retreated quite a bit, so they only stopped it. So basically one of the strongholds is this village Klynove, right? And here as well, it's not very clear the situation here as well, and along this road. So this is, as you can see, the result of the withdrawal. It's not just you lost the salient, you kind of lost quite a bit, and effectively Russian side created sort of as well kind of salient into Ukrainian defenses. And now what else happened is there is also dangerous situation here, right? So if you can see, they can kind of try to exploit it here as well, and so this is another sort of dangerous opportunity for Ukrainian army at this point. Not to mention that Ukraine essentially lost this large power generating station that was here where the red arrow. So that's going to be another big loss for Ukrainian power grid and power supply in general, which obviously not going to help economy. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of retreat, and in general, in terms of losses in this whole, basically, let's just look at this whole area. Like in this whole area, Ukraine, and mostly obviously here, Ukrainian troops suffering very, very high losses. It's up to 100 soldiers dead every day, and another plus minus 300 wounded, and then all other reasons up to another 100, maybe like 50, like let's say prisoners of war, all other reasons. So basically you can kind of like plus minus round it up to round number. Ukrainian troops are losing here about 500 people per day, right? All kind of losses up to. We're not saying it's exactly, but plus just it's very rough estimate, right? So this is extremely heavy losses. So essentially Ukrainian side is buying time by paying this extremely high costly price for the time. And essentially the idea, the hope is, I guess, is that Ukraine will receive heavy weapons, which will help to change the situation for better and sort of stabilize. So that's sort of hope in Ukraine at the high level. Our take on this, unless Ukraine changes and becomes much more efficient, those promised heavy weapons, they're not going to come in quantities that are needed to compensate for inefficiency in Ukrainian army. So that's the biggest sort of challenge that Ukrainian army and Ukrainian society faces in general, not just the army. It's really the whole society is facing this challenge, because, for example, the like one of the problems here was that like new sort of replacement, let's say, companies and battalions, when they would come, they would be used as a sort of standalone. They would not be sort of like dispersed between the more experienced, let's say, brigade receives, let's say, a company, right? Like as a fresh new company, because it suffers losses, let's say 24th Brigade. So the way it works, the whole new, like this fresh company would operate like on its own. They would not be sort of spread out between the other companies where there are experienced soldiers, so that, this fresh, like new conscripts can, kind of like learn, and learn learn things that you will never learn, in during the training, right? So there's quite a bit of knowledge that you can really learn by being with experienced people, and that's like just one example. This is not. There are many like similar issues. There are a lot of problems, and sometimes they're not even properly trained. They had like very basic training. So there are a lot of issues in terms of, let's say, mistakes. It's not even inefficiency. It's really mistakes on, Ukrainian command and how the Ukrainian army operates. And so in order to compensate for that, you really need quite a bit of heavy weapons. And and so the only way, the most likely way, is actually not likely, but the correct way is actually sort of get better, improve internally, and then those weapons, the smaller amount of heavy weapons from the West can help, versus hoping for huge amount. We don't think that that's going to happen, because we already hear in Europe complaints that they're running out of ammo. There's not many heavy weapons available in the first place. So it's definitely Ukraine needs to be much more efficient at how it actually fights. So, and fighting with quality, not quantity, and not hoping that could be another Soviet, Red Army during World War II, where it doesn't, nobody cares about the efficiency. It's all, all gains essentially done through the quantity. On their heavy equipment side, Ukrainian troops received some, we don't know exact number, 20 to 30 155 howitzers FN-70 from Italy, which were deployed, and they are nothing better than like Russian counterparty or Soviet counterparty, but it helps because it increases firepower of Ukrainian troops. In terms of those French self-propelled howitzers, Caesar, that Ukraine received 12 units, they actually significantly better than the Russian counterparty, but obviously it's only 12. So that again, it's not creating meaningful impact. Basically it's like you're trying to hit elephant with a needle, right? I mean, it's painful, but in the end, it's not enough. That's the overall situation with the heavy weapons, specifically artillery, that Ukraine received so far. So let's keep going. Let's see what's going on down south. Let's actually now look at the situation straight west of Donetsk. So the Russian plan is, as we discussed, is pretty straightforward, right? To continue building this salient kind of. And then also now they're trying to attack near the village of Piske, and also trying to build sort of another salient or pincer here, with effectively what they want. They want to repeat what they did in Svitlodarsk, where they essentially created credible threat of encirclement, and that caused withdrawal of Ukrainian troops. So they want to do something like that here, because front line is pretty heavily defended in terms of engineering, trenches, bunkers, strongholds. So it will be extremely heavy casualties, and they really would like to capture this town because it's also important economic center that's still in Ukrainian hands. So there are attacks, but so far they're not super promising. Nothing really to truly report that of any kind of progress, except there was some progress as we discussed before here. But for about like 3 weeks or so, 20 days, this area was more or less stable. So this is a closer look. So the way, so this is very clear, right? So the Russian side is kind of trying to attack here. Then for whatever reason they were attacking New York. Now it kind of changed, and now they refocused on attacking kind of like in this direction, this. So basically they want to try to kind of create the pincer from the north over like around Avdiivka, and from the south they're trying to attack kind of straight towards north to create another sort of southern pincer. So far there is no success, but they keep hammering. So we'll see what happens there. Now let's look what's going on around the Zaporizhia front line, and we're going to look at the eastern section. Situation here is, as always, stable because both sides are totally, putting all of their resources up there around Severodonetsk and Popasna. So everything here is stable. Just artillery, shelling, some reconnaissance attacks, but nothing really major here. So this is the whole front line. As mentioned before, Ukrainian defense is centered around this stronghold: Kamensky, Orikhiv, Gulyaipole, Velika Novosivka, and Vuhledar. So there is not much to report really here. And now let's jump quickly to Kherson bridgehead. Again, here the same story. Russian side is digging in, developing, good defensive positions. Ukrainian side is obviously also digging in, but it's the goal. Eventual goal is obviously to remove Russian troops from here, but giving their essentially all of their essential, there's not enough resources here to do any offensive basically. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Until tomorrow. Bye bye.